I'm 78 years old, and I need to tell you something no one ever told me when I was your age. For most of my life, I thought being a good woman meant saying yes to everyone. My husband, my children, my parents, my friends, my boss. I thought that's what love looked like. I thought that's what strength looked like. I was wrong about everything. You see, I spent 60 years of my life trying to be perfect, the perfect wife, the perfect mother, the perfect daughter, the perfect employee. And you know what I got for it? Exhaustion, resentment, and a life that didn't feel like mine. But 7 years ago, something happened that changed everything. My husband died. After 42 years of marriage, he was gone. And for the first time in my adult life, I was alone, completely alone. And I was terrified. Not because I missed him, though I did, but because I realized I had no idea who I was without him. I had spent my entire life being someone's something, someone's wife, someone's mother, someone's helper. But who was I? What did I actually want? What made me happy? I couldn't answer those questions, and that scared me more than anything. Let me take you back. When I was 22, I got married. It was 1968, different times, you understand. Women didn't have the choices you have today, or at least we didn't think we did. My mother told me, a good husband is all you need. Everything else will follow. So I married him, a nice man, a good provider, and I became the good wife. I cooked, I cleaned, I raised the children, I supported his career. I smiled when I was supposed to smile. I stayed quiet when I was supposed to stay quiet. And the thing is, I wasn't unhappy, not exactly. I loved my children, I enjoyed parts of my life, but there was always this voice in the back of my head asking, is this it? Is this all there is? I ignored that voice for 40 years. When I was 35, I wanted to go back to school. I'd always loved literature. I dreamed of teaching. But my husband said we couldn't afford it. The children needed me. Maybe later, he said. So I waited again. When the kids were grown, I brought it up again. But then he was thinking about retirement. We'd need to help with his parents, maybe in a few years. So I waited again. When I was 55, his parents had passed. I thought, now it's my turn. But our daughter got divorced. She needed help with the grandchildren. How could I think about myself when my family needed me? So I waited again. And then, at 71, he died, and there was nobody left to wait for. Here's what nobody tells you about being a woman, especially a woman of my generation. We were taught that self-sacrifice was noble, that putting everyone else first made us good, that our worth came from how much we gave, not from who we were. And it's a lie, a beautiful, terrible lie. Because here's the truth I learned too late. You can't pour from an empty cup. You can't love others fully when you don't love yourself. You can't give everything away and expect to have anything left. I gave and gave and gave, and when my husband died, I looked in the mirror and I didn't recognize the woman staring back at me. She looked tired, she looked old, she looked sad, and she looked like a stranger. The first year after he died, I was lost. I'd wake up with nothing to do, no one to cook for, no one to serve. For 60 years, my identity had been wrapped up in other people. But then something happened. About 18 months later, I found a letter he'd written before we married. In it, he talked about my intelligence, my curiosity, how he couldn't wait to see what I would accomplish. I sat on the floor, holding that letter, and I cried, because that girl he'd fallen in love with, I'd buried her. Not all at once, but slowly, over the years, I'd put her dreams aside. I'd told myself I was being selfless, but really I was disappearing. That's when I made a decision. I was 72 years old, and I decided it was too late. I enrolled in community college, literature classes, art history, philosophy, things I'd always wanted to study. I was the oldest in my classes, but I didn't care. For the first time in decades, I felt alive. I started traveling, small trips at first, places I'd always wanted to see, and it was wonderful. I started saying no. This was hardest. My children would call. Sorry, I have plans. My friends would invite me to things I didn't want to do. No, thank you. And you know what? The world didn't end. People adjusted, and I felt lighter. I'm 78 now, and I finally know who I am. Not somebody's wife, not somebody's mother. A woman who loves literature and art, who enjoys her own company, who travels when she wants, who says no when she means no, and yes only when she truly means yes. But here's the heartbreaking part. I wasted so much time. 60 years of my life spent being who I thought I should be instead of who I wanted to be. 60 years of putting myself last. 60 years of shrinking so everyone else could have more space. And I will never get those years back. So let me tell you what I wish someone had told me when I was 20, when I was 30, when I was 40. You are not selfish for having dreams. You are not selfish for wanting more. You are not selfish for saying no. You are not selfish for choosing yourself. You think you have all the time in the world. You tell yourself, I'll do it later, after the kids are grown, after things calm down, after life gets easier. But life never gets quieter. There is always another responsibility, another person who needs you, another reason to wait. And one day you wake up at 70 years old and realize you never lived for yourself. Not once. Don't make my mistake. Don't wait for permission to live your own life, because that permission will never come. No one is going to say, now it's your turn. You have to take it. You have to claim it. If you want to go back to school, go. Don't wait for the perfect time. There isn't one. If you want to change careers, change. Don't wait until everyone approves. They won't. If you're in a relationship that makes you feel small, leave. Don't stay because of time already spent. Don't stay because you're afraid of being alone. Don't stay because you think it's too late. It's not too late. It is never too late. Your life is not a rehearsal. This is not a practice run. This is the only one you get. And every day you spend living for someone else is a day you are not living for yourself. I know what you're thinking, but what about my family? What about my responsibilities? What about being a good person? I'm telling you this. You can be a good person and still have boundaries. You can love your family and still have your own life. You can be responsible and still pursue your dreams. In fact, you'll be better for it. Because you cannot give from resentment. You cannot love fully when you are angry at yourself for the life you never lived. Women of my generation were taught to be small, to be accommodating, to smooth things over, to never make waves. And we did it so well that we disappeared. But you don't have to. You have choices we didn't. You have opportunities we never imagined. Don't waste them trying to be perfect. Don't waste them trying to please everyone. Because here's the truth no one likes to say out loud. You will never please everyone. Someone will always think you're selfish. Someone will always want more from you. The only opinion that truly matters is your own. Can you look at yourself in the mirror and be proud, not of how much you sacrificed, but of how honestly you lived? I look at young women today and I see myself, saying yes when they mean no, putting dreams on hold for partners, parents, children, shrinking to fit someone else's idea of who they should be. And I want to stop them. Your dreams matter. Your voice matters. You matter. Not because of what you do for others, but because you exist. It took me 72 years to learn that I was allowed to take up space, allowed to want things, allowed to choose myself. Don't take 72 years. Learn it now, today, this moment. Your younger self is counting on you, and your older self will thank you. I'm 78 years old. I've been living for myself for only 6 years, and they've been the best 6 years of my life. I'm happier now than I was at 30, more myself than I've ever been, finally free. But I would give anything to have those lost decades back, to have started sooner, to have said no without guilt, to have taken up space instead of shrinking. You still have time, but only if you start now, only if you stop waiting, only if you stop putting yourself last. Your life is happening right now, not later, not when things are easier, right now. So what are you going to do with it? Live for yourself, or wake up one day realizing you lived for everyone else? The choice is yours, but make it now, because time doesn't wait, and neither should you. If this spoke to you, share it, not for me, but for every woman still waiting, every woman who thinks wanting more is selfish, every woman who's waiting for permission. The permission is granted. Now go live.